Hey everyone. So many times I get asked questions regarding how much something is worth. So I've started a little series called What's It Worth? And I've dove into a couple different notes, and this time we're going to dive into a true trinary. What is a true trinary and what is it worth? Well, let's go back a little bit. We have to understand where we get to true trinary. What happened to start with is a bunch of computer programmers were programming using the binary code, a binary system. In other words, just a bunch of ones and zeros. And one of the programmers happened to get a dollar bill that had a bunch of ones and zeros on it. And they thought this was the coolest thing. So they began looking for these binary notes, notes that only contained zeros and ones. The problem with trying to find one of these is that out of 100 million combinations, only 255 of those combinations are binaries, whereas you have zeros and ones. So those were extremely tough to come by, and these probably sell for 50 to 100 bucks. More when it's a star, of course. But anyway, that's where the binary came from. Now, only having 255 out of 100 million, that makes these extremely difficult to find. So as people were looking for these, they came across notes like this. This has two different digits. This has sixes and fours. And they started calling these notes binaries, but it wasn't what they were really looking for. They were looking for the zeros and ones. So they dubbed the zeros and ones a true binary because, like I said, this is 255 out of 100 million. The binary, just the any random two digits, these were a little easier to come by. A binary, you can actually find 11,430 of these per 100,000. So yeah, much easier to find. These, maybe they'll go for 10 bucks or so, $10 to $20 for a binary. And you're talking 50 to 100 on a true binary. But once again, 255 of these out of 100 million, 11,430 out of 100 million for one of these. That's still pretty tough to find. So people who were on the lookout for these decided, well, let's try to make it a little easier. Remember, this is one off of this, okay? This was the goal. This is one off. So people tried to make it a little easier to find something. And they said, well, why not look for a trinary? Now, a trinary has three different digits. This one here has zeros, eights, and nines. Now, trinaries are extremely common. Out of every 100 million notes, there are 695,220. So there are a lot of trinaries to be found. And because of that, they don't really have any additional value. So people who hunt trinaries will tell you that these are worth money. I've done a video on them, and we know they're not. But they will try to find a way to make trinaries valuable. So what they do is they take what we know as a true binary, zeros and ones, and they add one more digit. They add the 2, and they call zeros, ones, and twos a true trinary. Now, let's back up a second. This is a true binary because it's based off of binary code. Zeros and ones are a binary code. What are zeros, ones, and twos? Nothing. There is no trinary code. There is no trinary system. Zeros and ones and twos don't mean anything. It's simply zeros, ones, and twos. If you were to write out all the different combinations of three-digit numbers that could make trinaries, you'd start off with 012, then you'd write 013, 014, 015, and so on down the line until you got to the highest possible number, which would be 7s, 8s, and 9s. If you write out all of those combinations, you're going to have a total of 120 possible combinations of three digits that can be found on a trinary. This, like I said, is zeros, ones, and twos. And this would be zeros, eights, and nines. The question then becomes, are zeros, ones, and twos worth more than zeros, eights, and nines? Or are zeros, ones, and twos worth more than 420? Or 312? Or any, 123? Or any other digits? Why is zeros, ones, and twos worth more? And the truth of the matter is, they're not. The truth of the matter is, if you take the total number of trinaries, which is 695,220, divide it by the 120 different number combinations, you're going to find that each number combination has roughly 5,793 notes that you can find. Okay? Which means there's 5,793 of these, just like there are 5,793 of these, just like there are 5,793 of any three-digit combination. But once again, people will call a true trinary special, because a true trinary means something. What does it mean? I don't know. It's simply zeros, ones, and twos. There is, like I said, no trinary code. There is no trinary anything to make zeros, ones, and twos worth any more than any other digit. You could try to look up the area code for your phone. Does that make it worth more money? No, it doesn't. A trinary is still a trinary no matter how you try to break it up. You could, I suppose, after you broke it down to zeros, ones, and twos and tried to convince people that this was worth more money, you could then say, well, since there's only 5,000 of those combinations, well, of those 5,000, only 1/3 of them are going to start with 0, because there are 3 different numbers it could start with. So now if you have a true trinary that starts with 0, that must be worth even more, because it's only available 1/3 as much as any other trinary with zeros, ones, and twos in it. So do you see how all of a sudden you can slowly create fake rarity and fake value? So that's the line of thinking there. Now, the other thing is, we're always talking about out of 100 million, and the average person can't really grasp what I'm talking about there. So I'm going to set these aside. Let's try this. This is a 2017 A, and when I say A, I'm talking here 2017 A, and it also happens to be from Boston, which is district number 1, which is labeled A, and here you've got the ones over here. Now, when we talk about 100 million, we're actually talking about 96 million. It's just easier to say 100 million. And what we're referring to is the serial number in and of itself. It's an 8-digit number. The first letter matches the district that it comes from. So this is from Boston, A. The serial number starts with A. When they first do the serial numbers, they do the number and then they put an A at the end. In other words, this one note represents what's called the AA block for 2017 A's. And in the AA block for 2017 A's, there are 695,220 trinaries in this block. And this note simply represents the AA block. But what if we go here? Still a 2017A, but this time the note is from New York, which is District 2. So now you'll see the note starts with a B. There's going to be a total of 100 million combinations, and since it's the first run, you have the BA block, which is going to be different than the AA block. This is the BA block, which means this note represents another 695,220 trinaries that were printed. So let's just call it 700,000 just to make life easier. So that's 700,000 trinaries, and this is 700,000 trinaries. But when it comes to the B block, still 2017A, they made B, B, and BC, and BD. So there are Another 700,000, 700,000, 700,000. That's another 2.1 million trinaries printed, just represented right here. And that's only 2017B, or 2017A through New York. Then you have the C district, where you have C, look at these blocks, CA, then you have D, which is Cleveland. So you have the DA, DB, DC, no DE here, I'm missing that one. There's C, yeah, no, DD, okay. And then we've got the E block, Virginia, right? Yep, Richmond, Virginia. EA, EB, EC, ED. The F block, Atlanta, Georgia. FA, FB, FC, FD, FE, FF, FG, FH. Okay, every single one of those notes in my hand represents another 700,000 trinaries. But we're not done, because we still have G. There's GA, GB, GC, GD, H, HA, IA, JA, KA, KB, KC, LA, LB, LC, LD, and LE. Every single one of these notes in my hand represents another 700,000 trinaries. But these are just the 2017A notes. Because before the 2017A notes, there were 2017s. 2017A, 2017. And when we start talking about the 2017 notes, which are still widely in circulation, AA, AB, AC, BA, BB, BC, BD, BE, CA, DA, DB, DC, DD, EA, EB, EC, FA, FB, FC, FD, FE, GA, GB, GC, GD, GE, HA, HB, IA, JA, JB, KA, KB, KC, KD, KE, KN, LA, LB, LC, LD, LE, and LF. Every single one of these notes represents another 700,000 trinaries that you can still find in circulation, because these are 2017As, these are 2017s. But the most prolific notes that you're going to find right now are the 2013s. They printed those for a long time. The 2013s, AA, AB, AC, AD, AE, BA, BB, BC, BD, BE, BF, BG, BH, CA, CB, CC, CD, CE, DA, DB, DC, DD, DE, DF, DG, DH. I gotta put some of these down. EA, EB, EC, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, then F, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, H, A, H, B, C, I, A, I, B, J, A, J, B, J, C, J, D, K, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and then we get to L's. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, no O, sorry, N, P, Q, R, S, T, and finally U. Every single one of these notes that I have out here on this table, every single one of these notes represents 700,000 700,000 trinaries. Every single one. Every single block printed 700,000 trinaries. Now, if you're curious, there's 175 of those notes there. 175 notes times 695,000 trinaries means that since 2013, they have printed 663,500 trinaries. 121 million trinaries. Tell me again how trinaries are worth money. 121 million since the 2013 series. Oh, and not to break your heart, but we aren't watching the 2017 A series anymore. We're at 2021. So now there's going to be a bunch more being printed. But that's just the stuff you're going to find in circulation. So of those 121 million notes that people are trying to tell you that they're worth money, how many of them are actually true trinaries? Well over 1 million of those notes are still true trinaries. But what does it mean to have a true trinary? Nothing. It's just somebody picking 0, 1s, and 2s and comparing that to all the other trinaries are out there, which is no different than me saying 8, 9, and 0, the high end of the spectrum, must be worth money because it's the opposite of this. Well, there is no value for 0s, 8s, and 9s. There is no value for trinaries because there's 121 million of them floating around. And there is no additional value for true trinaries because it's a made-up term. Now, I've watched people on Whatnot tell people that true trinaries, they have sold a true trinary for $100 on eBay. Then they followed it up with offering 6 separate true trinaries on Whatnot that sold for $6 a piece. Imagine if you were the person on eBay who paid $100 for this note and then saw 6 of them sell for $6 a piece. 6 times 6 is 36. So for 1/3 of the amount of money they paid on eBay, they could have had 6 of the notes on Whatnot from the exact same seller. I can't believe that seller tells that story. I guess he doesn't realize that he's telling the person that bought that note for $100 how bad he ripped them off. But now that you see how prominent trinaries are, maybe you should feel bad for the 6 people who paid $6 a piece for these notes. Because trinaries, there's 121 million of them floating around, and that number's going up every day because they're now printing the 2021 series. So what's a trinary worth? A trinary is worth face value. What's a true trinary worth? A true trinary doesn't exist. There is no true trinary code. There is no true trinary system. A true trinary is simply 0s, 1s, and 2s. You can pick any 3 digits you want, and it's not worth any more or any less. All you're doing is trying to find a way to shrink that 121 million note total to make it seem like it's rare and worth something. It's not. All trinaries are face value, unless you can call them something else. All right, so that's what I've got for this week's episode of What's It Worth? True trinary doesn't exist, not worth more than face value. Don't buy them. Don't believe people who try to tell you that they're worth anything. This should be a hint as to what they're worth. Every one of them, 700,000 notes. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.